Welcome to Man360. I'm your host, Brian. Today we address dealing with hard things in life. We have a two-part roundtable discussion with two friends who've had to deal with death in their family. We talk with my friend Jim Underwood, who lost his wife to cancer, and my friend Isidro Aybar, who lost his 2-year-old daughter to a brain tumor. I've known both of these men and their families for over 20 years, and to see how each of them dealt with these difficult situations, I knew they were the right ones for the show. Then for our health segment, I have the host of CTN's Christian Fitness, Robert Evans, show me how to build my core using weights. It was definitely a difficult thing for me to try, but Robert gave some great information about what building the core does for the rest of the body. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. Welcome to Man360. If you think about it, death is a part of life, and the first day that we were born was the first day we started to die. But when death comes unexpectedly or at a young age, it can be hard to navigate mentally. Jim Underwood and Isidro Aybar have had to walk this road, and I asked if they would share some things they thought God taught them going through their struggles, as well as other insights that would be valuable for us to hear. They shared about the church and what the community of believers did well when they were going through their struggles, and what could have been better. I appreciated their candor and then being able to share how they really felt. We also have a very important extended talk with them that we could not fit in the program that's on our additional content page for you to watch. Here's my roundtable discussion with Jim Underwood and Isidro Aybar about dealing with the pain of losing a family member. Jim and Isidro, thank you for being on Man360. And I just love and appreciate both of you guys, both of your families. Yolanda and I have known you for over 20 years. We were trying to add that up and trying to figure out how long we've all went to church together.
Yes.
And knowing that you guys had gone through some incredibly difficult situations in your life, I wanted to have you on and just talk about, just how you process some of those things, what you feel like was good that God did through it, what's still difficult, some of those other things. So can you each share, Jim, can you please first share about loss in your life?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me. Peggy, my late wife, was diagnosed with breast cancer when she was 43 years old. 40 years old. And she passed away 7 years later, in 2010 at 47.
Wow. Yeah. Isidro?
My situation was more, I was blessed with my wife with a lovely daughter. She was born in 2000, and just navigating through all of that and just experiencing her and just feeling, this is great, this is daddy's girl. So I was very excited about that, and just as time went by, we noticed that something was going on with her. She wasn't eating well, and she was very lethargic. So, and then what we did was obviously take her to doctors, and all of them said, she's going to be fine. It's just a toddler situation, and I think she'll grow out of it. But as time went on, she was losing her equilibrium. She couldn't, all that she did was sleep. So to make a long story short, we took her to emergency. It was 9 hours, I remember that day. And they dropped the bomb. They said, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but your daughter has a brain tumor. And then from there on, she went into a coma, and then she passed away. So that's been absolutely devastating.
And then how old was she when she passed away?
She was 2.5.
Yeah, Yolanda and I were trying to figure out the timing of how old she was. And we were talking before we came on air, I remember both these situations like they were yesterday. And I think when you're in relationship and you're in friendship with people, there are certain things that just really stick out in your mind. And how we prayed with both of you, we prayed with your families, we stood with you guys. But I wanted to just talk with you and ask you, what do you feel like it's been difficult in even now in walking through those things, and what do you feel like, how do you feel like God comforted you through those situations too? And maybe Jim, you could start and just share a little bit.
Yeah. Peggy was diagnosed 3 months after we were married.
Was it that quick?
Yeah. Wow. And interestingly enough, you know, we got engaged the same day that we had a prayer vigil for Ariana. Yeah. And but you know, fortunately, God showed me right away that I couldn't do this alone, and that I really needed to reach out and serve. Yeah. And so, man, at any chance I could, I would serve. I started a grief share group. I, you know, reached out to people struggling and hurting, and Dr. Paul Tripp shared with Grief Share that if we allow it, grief will make us better. Wow. And you know, it'll dig out those areas that we're not really too pleased with, you know, those spiritual dark areas, or those areas in your heart that need to be changed. And I saw some stuff in myself that I didn't like, and grief really showed those to me. Yeah. Isidro, what about for you? Like, how do you, in that process?
You know, when I think about that, I think about how surreal it was. You know, just dealing with that. And I said, I can't believe this, that I'm dealing with this. I would talk to my wife, and we went through a fasting period right during the coma, and during the time you were there. Yeah. And to be honest with you, I was very upset. I was very angry. Yeah. And as I was angry, I was kind of thinking, how could this happen to me? I've served you all my life, Lord, and I, you know, being a fine arts pastor and just dedicating my life, and I just said, you know, I'm going to have to make that decision and say to myself, God, you are above all of this, and you are sovereign. So there comes a time that you have to make a decision, and then God will go through the trial with you. And that's exactly what I did. I just said, God, you know, I repent, because I was really upset. Think about it. I was thinking about, I was already planning, you know, high school graduation. I was thinking about if she goes to college, I'll walk her down the aisle, and thinking about all this.
Threaten her boyfriends.
The boyfriend, the shotgun thing and
shotgun
everything.
Threatening.
And then I was thinking, wow, all of that just disappeared. So, and then I just said, God, you know, I'm just going to have to trust you. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. It doesn't matter what I'm going through. I'm just going to trust you. But the thing that I learned through that process, and I'm still working through, is that I know that God reigns, and He has a perfect plan behind all of this. Because I will see her again. That's when we started thinking about heaven is for real. And then you just the hope of seeing her again.
And Jim, we've talked about that intermittently at times when we've communicated. Obviously, I've connected and communicated more with you, working with CTN directly. And like I'd mentioned, I'd seen Isidro in so long, but it's like we just pick up and start talking, you know, because we have these lifelong friendships. But I know with, you know, just some of the things with Peggy, that there's still things that still hurt. But it's like that two-edged sword. You still trust and give it to God, but there's still that level of, you know, there's still pain there in different ways, and God knows that. You know, so Jim and we had a real candid conversation, you and I, about what we feel like the church did well, and what were some challenges, and so I want to talk a little bit about that with both of you guys, just to, you know, what we feel like, again, the believers and other people around us did well, and what were things that you were looking for that you didn't get in going through that time. So Jim, can you share a little bit?
First of all, to see Isidro handle Ariana's passing the way he did inspired me. I mean, he was...
Me too. It was a yeoman's task.
I don't know what was going on inside, but on the outside, he was handling it beautifully, and a wonderful example of how you handle grief. As I was preparing for today, I was thinking about, did I reach out to him more? You know, did I pick up the phone and say, hey, how you doing? And I didn't. I really didn't. And same with you when you were going through your stuff. And so I think I was fortunate that I had that strong church backing, as well as outside the church. I had a cycling class that was really instrumental in my healing. But I wish that we would look at pastors and people that we think are spiritually strong, and realize that they're going through grief too. And
Yeah.
I don't think I did
Yeah.
before this.
Yeah, and it's hard because I think, I mentioned too that it's not I don't think it's out of a lack of love or care.
Right.
It's just that, what do you say? I had people that after I went through my stuff, it's like, well, what do I tell you, or what do I say to you? Isidro, what do you feel like for you is something that you felt like, maybe on the converse of that, what do you feel like you got from the church that was empowering and that was encouraging in that process?
I can honestly say everyone was there, because as soon as we had received the news that she had the brain tumor, the pastor at the time made himself available. He was there immediately. His wife was there as well, and we love and appreciate that. And then we remember having people from different departments praying. We had people basically all over the world, Dominican Republic, and we had people in just obviously in Colorado, all over, because being in the music industry, I was able to call a lot of people. But just knowing that they were there, and Jim is saying that he wasn't, I know in spirit he was there. So, but that's the beauty of the body of Christ, that you can count on. So I can honestly say everyone was there. We had worship, we had people bringing us food, even financial help and all of that. It was just awesome.
Jim, you mentioned something too, where you're talking about that you can learn from grief if you allow those things to shine the light where they need to be shined, and also for us personally, because I feel like too, some of it is our perception of how people are treating us or around us too. And I know our perception is reality, right? So what we perceive is going to be the reality of what we're dealing with. But I know too, again, just in having people in my life where I feel like there were some people I didn't want them to ask me, right? So you want the right people to ask you, but the other people you don't want them to say anything to you because you're like, I don't want to have to explain this again or talk about what we're going on. So, I know too, when you go through that. So I want to just ask you guys each too, what do you feel like is one thing that a piece of advice from what you've each gone through for men that are watching, what do you feel like is something that you could share with them that is the most important thing, or maybe an important thing that you feel like in going through the loss that you each did? Jim?
I would say take off the church face. When somebody asks you how you're doing, don't just automatically say fine.
Right.
You could be hurting. You could be like, ready to break into tears, and you say fine. And sometimes that's what they want to hear. But you got to be real and just share. And people want to help. And so to go through it alone is miserable. So I think just be real with your feelings.
I think that's good. Isidro, how about for you?
For me, it was just basically putting everything in its own box, so to speak, compartmentalized. And that was everything was happening at the same time. You're receiving from the body of Christ, but you're believing for healing, but you're trying to be strong with your spouse, and then you're trying to worship God in the midst, and then also believe for like major miracles to take place. So that was very hard for me, but just going back to the roots that was the point that I said to myself, wow, I'm gonna have to really, get the belt on and just say, God, are you for real? That's a question that you have to ask. Is my faith has been in vain all these years? And that's something that I had to come to realization and then go from there. And I had a long talk with my lovely wife, and as you know, a lot of marriages, when they lose a child, they break up, immediately. Our marriage got even stronger.
Wow.
We clung to each other like never before.
That's awesome.
And it's wonderful to see that. But then just knowing that the body of Christ is there, knowing ultimately that God is there and your spouse is there and your family, there's nothing better, because it is very heart-wrenching, absolutely heart-wrenching.
There's nothing that you can really say to help fix. I think that's one thing for men. We always want to try to fix things, right? We want to try to make things better. And it's like we recognize and realize that we're just there for each other. I think that's a huge part of it, and whether it's the familial structure that you have, and I think even men too, men, if you're watching, and you don't have a church home or you don't have a fellowship, that's a big part of that too. I think that the reason why I think we each got through our stuff that we did was, even though maybe there was trip ups and there was times where we feel like maybe we weren't there or people weren't there for us at different times, the whole church is there to be able to press in and to help to walk through those things with us. So, yeah.
Yeah, even just making sure that people aren't alone at holidays.
Yeah.
True.
And so the
birthdays, and
birthdays,
yeah.
It's really important.
Yeah, that's a huge piece too, because we were talking about too, not just the event of the funeral and everything when everything happens,
right,
but those first few months and even that first year after you losing a loved one, that you really want to be able to be attuned to that. We have our phones, we have ways to remind us. Yolanda's a huge reminder for me. Oh, hey, it's this person's birthday. And I was like, oh yeah. And I texted her like, thank you for my birthday. And I was like, well, Yolanda actually remembered your birthday. But yeah.
Can I share one more
Please.
thing? We always try to say that we understand. We always want to be empathetic. But with grief, we don't understand. I don't understand what Isidro went through.
Yeah.
Because each one of our situations is so different. And so when we flippantly say some of these things, throw out a scripture or flippantly say, I understand. Yeah, maybe you don't.
Right. And it's not the best, most comforting thing when you hear people say, I understand, because then you always reference it, pain is selfish that way. When we're going through pain, we're not really as concerned about what other people are going through in those times. I think that's a natural human reaction of survival mechanism. But I think too, like you say, maybe I don't know what you're going through, but I know how to pray for you.
Yes.
I think that's a good thing to say
Yes.
to people too. So Jim and Isidro, thank you for being on the program.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Continue to pray for you. And I just believe that God's going to continue to work miracles in each of your lives in what God has for you, and that we're going to see Ariana, we're going to see Peggy again someday. And I just believe that God's going to continue to do great things through. We love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Whenever I ask Robert Evans to help me with something for the show, I know he gets a kick out of some kind of exercise to make me sweat. Here's my time with Robert and him showing me some basic exercises to build my core. So we are on the set of Christian Fitness with my friend Robert Evans. He's the host of Christian Fitness. And actually I was telling him before we came on live that this is called the House of Pain.
No,
So yes,
it's not.
it is. I told Robert I mountain bike. I love mountain biking in Colorado, but I just don't do as much for the upper body because I'm so busy with work and trying to get to the gym and all that stuff. So I asked Robert to show us some core exercises specifically, and to talk a little bit about the importance of the core in your regimen and what you do as a man. And just the importance of that. I think there's a lot more that people think of, or maybe there's misconceptions about what the core is that you can kind of help disclose.
I think that's the biggest thing. When
Yeah.
people think core, they think I have to work my abdomen. I got to do stomach exercises, crunches, all those things, which is great. But the core actually really is from almost the top of your knees up to your chest.
Wow.
So it's your full core, because your core is really what provides your balance. So your balance isn't just right here. Your balance is really, the hips, your back pockets, your thighs, everything that creates
Yeah.
balance is right through here.
Yep.
This is the core, and that's what's so important.
Right.
We were talking off camera a minute ago, but as you age, from the age of 40 on, every decade you lose 10% of your muscle mass.
So I was making, I'm wearing Chewbacca on my shirt today, so I was making one of these sounds and noises like, so I'm 48, so I told Robert, I was like, I gotta get going
already.
here. I'm at 8%.
So I'm well beyond that, so
Yeah.
I'm getting close to the 20%. But
Yeah.
Anyway, so you lose 10% of muscle mass, so it's important to do some kind of training.
Mm-hmm.
You can use just your own body weight. You can, of course, resistance training with weights is really important. But as you said, we're also busy these days. It's hard to get to the gym. It's really difficult to get that regiment. So what I want to do today is just a single exercise. Something you can do for 3 or 4 minutes. And trust me, if we did this for 4 minutes solid, you wouldn't be able to breathe.
Yeah,
so
no, but I am at sea level now, and I live at
That's true.
55,280, so just
your
let everybody know
cardio's
out
a
there.
little bit better.
Yeah, a little
So,
better.
What we wanted to do today is a single exercise. It just has multiple motions. It's called a clean and press. And I'm going to explain it to you, demonstrate it. There's a couple ways to do it. There's a power clean and a squat clean. We don't need to go into all of that. We're not doing Olympic lifting. We're just going to show you
Thank
the
the
simple
Lord.
move.
No Olympic lifting today.
There you go. But it's called a clean and press, but you can see it works 8 different muscle groups, but over 200 individual muscles. So one exercise that works 200 muscles. This is something you can do at home. You can do it at the office. Because like I said, a couple minutes of this, And you can do it every day as long as you don't do it for half
And
an
you'll
hour.
be in plenty of pain by then.
You'll be
2 minutes.
in plenty of pain. You'll get cardio, you'll get muscle strength, and you'll develop and strengthen the core. Because the core is so vitally important as you age, especially. You hear about the elderly that may fall, that they don't have good of balance because they lose that muscle mass that we talked about.
Right.
So what you want to do is strengthen this and keep it strong as you age or at any age, because it helps with the balance. It helps if you trip on a curb or anything like that.
Right.
You have that core strength and balance to be able to catch yourself and prevent that injury.
Cool. Okay.
But I wanted to show a quick video to show you, because the beginning of this power clean, you'll see our little graphic guy is squatting. The beginning of this move is a squat. So the first thing we're going to do is pick up the weights. We're going to squat down, and then we're going to come up and press the weights. But the squat, so many people do it incorrectly, and I want to show you an expert in it, which happens to be an infant. But watch this video of the baby, and then I'll explain it. So here he is with his family. He's just learned to walk. You can see he's a little shaky, you know, just on his little run. But watch him. He bends down to pick up, I don't know what that is, a grape or whatever that is. But here you have it in slow motion. Just watch as he squats. He has perfect form. Very slow motion. But you'll see he really doesn't have great balance yet. So in order to prevent from falling over, his squat is perfect. Look at the position of his knees. His hips are way back. His knees don't go over his toes. He's got his weight proportioned over his knees and over his feet. Perfect balanced squat. Whereas a lot, you know, we get older, we'll do things like this, which is horrible for you. You can see the baby sits back and keeps his balance right over the front. Just naturally, he has to do that or he'll fall over. But as we age, we try to, you know, compensate for that, and we'll do things that will injure us. So anyway, that is the perfect squat form. I thought, what better way?
I hate that kid. I hate him.
So imagine how strong those thighs are. The little baby
Seriously.
just learning to walk.
He's got like these quads that are
exactly.
ridiculous.
So anyway, clean and press. Visualize the baby as you squat down. So we're going to do it without weights first.
Please.
Then we'll grab some dumbbells. We'll see how high you get.
All right.
Maybe we'll start at a low weight.
I know,
and
yeah,
then
you
work our
told me
way
to
up.
start, you know, and Yolanda was saying, well, he's kind of thinking he can really drop some of those big weights. Well, like, we'll see.
Start
I know
with the
those
toothpick,
little
and then-
pink ones. Yeah, I was asking for Q-tips. We could use those maybe.
All right, so the first thing is we want to emulate the baby. So you just want to squat down, and we'll maybe put the weights next to us when we do it. But you don't want to, you know, lean forward. Like I said, just the baby. You remember the baby squatted down, and then he did lean forward a little bit to pick up his grape or whatever it was. But you just want to squat. We're going to pick the weights up. And we're just going to stand up and bring them to our shoulders once you have weights. And then you're going to press them. You just want to bend your knees a little bit. We're going to press the weights overhead. And then the last thing we're going to do is a squat with the weights overhead. This is where it gets really tough. So the weights are going to be overhead. You're going to squat down again, which requires incredible balance. And then you're going to come back up. And then to really work the core, we're just cracking over there. Is that your knees?
It's my knees.
Oh my gosh.
They only have to go like this. They don't have to go like this.
I thought somebody was
when
playing
you're-
sound effects or something.
they already got that sound effects guy in it.
Okay, the other thing you can do while you're up here, twist just a little bit and then squat. Oh my goodness,
know.
those poor knees. And
I
then
know.
twist the other side and squat.
Sounds like a deck of cards.
And that's it. So yeah, so
Yeah, that's all.
One exercise,
That's it.
See, I'm
That's
already
it.
sweating from one
Simple.
exercise. All right. Well, let's get, where do you
All
want to
right.
start? What weight do you want to start with? Fives?
Yeah, let me start with fives. All right. Got to cycle.
So, yeah.
Can you slap me a couple times, Robert, to get me
Should
in?
we splash you with water?
Yeah,
and get you
splash you with
Come
water.
on, Rocky.
I know, Rock.
So put him down next
I'm
to
gonna
you.
be like Apollo Creed when he lost.
So you want to squat down,
Okay.
like the baby did. Pick up your weights,
Okay.
and you're going to bring them up and just rest them right here at your shoulders.
Okay.
Squat a little bit, press them overhead.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and straighten your knees. Yeah, you explode when you come up. Now hold them overhead
Okay.
and squat back down without cracking.
Without cracking your knees.
The twist,
Okay.
squat, and twist, squat,
How many of these do we have to do?
and then put them back down. There, that's one.
That was one?
That's one.
I felt like I did 6.
But it's all one motion. It's all one motion. You squat,
All
press,
right.
twist, squat, and put it back down. So that
All
was
right.
one. So look, remember I told you 3 or 4 minutes of this?
Yeah, I mean, even 5 pounds, because you don't think that it's that much weight. But I know even just resistance of body weight is helpful, you know, in just your, you know, whether it's squats or the, like when you do bar dips or whatever too.
Anything,
can
yeah,
help
body
as
weight.
well.
I mean, just think push-ups, sit-ups. That's all
Right.
just body weight. That's
Right.
stuff you can do at home. You don't have to have elaborate machines.
Right.
Granted, they can help you with resistance training, but you don't have to have.
So let me ask you this too. So is there a way to do it wrong that you can hurt yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
So let's talk about doing it wrong.
Wrong.
So that we can avoid that,
Yeah,
basically.
especially as you add weight. The higher the weight,
Okay.
the more chance you have of injury.
Yep.
So there's no need, I mean, unless you're going to do Olympic training, and then I recommend you go see a professional, actually get trained
Right.
properly.
Right.
But just with little 3 and 5 pound weights, it's not as easy to injure yourself.
Okay.
Especially doing this twist.
Right? Unless you got my knees.
The key is,
I have a 52 deck of cards here and a 52 deck of cards here.
like it.
Apparently. I know.
Think of the baby. You just want good balance. So if we're doing, let's say, we press, let's say we're just doing the squat from here.
Okay.
If you start arching your back and you're here, I can already feel myself getting off balance.
Okay.
Think of the baby. You don't want to fall. If you feel yourself tightening one way or another and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm starting to feel extra stretch here, it should be nice. I mean, you'll feel the stress of the weight, but it should be nice and calm and relaxed.
Okay.
And then come back up. So
And
to
not
injury,
make- not
the
make
injury
cracks
would
in your
be coming
knees.
here where you're starting to drop the weights or putting extra pressure on the shoulders.
Okay.
You want the weight, just like the baby, all your weight is right over your feet.
Okay.
Especially up here.
Yep.
Just keep your weight over your feet.
See, if I
Balance.
just keep saying yep and talk to Robert, I can let him exercise and say, look at this perfect form we have here. This is
All right,
wonderful.
let's do like 3 really quick.
3 of
Just
them?
3 full ones.
Okay, so
real
18,
quickly.
because I thought it was 6 movements. So I'm doing 18, you'll do 3.
What? Okay, exactly.
That's right.
Whatever. I don't
See,
know
if
where
I
your math-
confuse him, then
that's
he won't make
Colorado
me do as
math. I don't know
many.
what you're
That's
talking
right,
about.
Colorado math.
All right, ready?
All right.
So bring them up to your shoulders.
Okay.
Press them. Squat. Twist. Squat. Twist. Squat.
Why'd I do this first
And then
today?
come back down. There, that's 1. Ready? Number 2.
Oh, you
no,
gotta
don't
go
let them
pick
down.
'em back up?
Yeah. No, we're not stopping. Gosh. Squat a little bit and press them up.
Okay.
Squat.
Oh, squat.
Squat
Sorry.
first. Twist. Squat.
Twist, squat.
Twist. Squat.
Squat.
Put
Yolanda's
it back down.
By the way, Yolanda's laughing off camera right now.
Yolanda, you want to come try one?
Oh, I dropped. Sorry.
One
I
more.
left them
Number 3.
down again.
Number
If you
3.
talk, you can rest in between sets.
Number 3.
All right.
Press.
Up.
Squat. Twist.
Twist.
Squat. And twist. Squat.
Squat.
And there you go. 3. That was it.
Oh. And that's only
That's just 3.
only 5 pounds. And I gotta have my makeup redone for television.
So something
yeah.
simple you can do.
Yeah.
You feel how that builds the core.
Oh,
you
totally.
can feel that and the balance it requires, especially as you have these overhead and you're
Right.
trying to do this press squat.
Right.
You really have to balance everything.
That's awesome.
Works the core.
So Robert, thank you for again just basic stuff that, again, and we were talking about that too. As we add weight, that resistance is what builds muscle as well. So
Yeah, you have to be pressed to grow.
right.
That'll preach, right?
Yeah, let's just keep that for sermons, not for physical. No, this is about Man360, so in every way. So I'm going to commit to doing more of these. Next time I'll see you, I'll be in better shape.
Good deal.
Thank you, Robert. I appreciate it.
Let's do our 360-degree review of today's program. When we go through difficult things in life, at some point it's important to talk about them. For one, it helps us recognize that we're not alone in what we deal with, and it's also an opportunity to help someone else in what they may be going through. Death is something that all of us will face someday, and to hear what Jim and Isidro went through put some things in my own life in perspective. I can remember Yolanda and I walking with each of them through their loss and it being a time where we grew closer as friends. And it wasn't because we had some kind of astounding revelation that helped them through it, but just being there as friends and praying for them that made all the difference. Please make sure and check out an extended conversation with Jim and Isidro on our website. Also be watching for a live stream premiere of that conversation on our Man360 Facebook page in the future. Man360 exists to help men be complete in every way through Christ, mentally, physically, and spiritually. I hope this program helped encourage you to get through a hard place in your life. Please send us an email on our website or connect with us on Facebook or Instagram, and we'll see you next week, right here on Man360.